light print. Let's start with a little black print so we get an idea what's going on. He's a gam la'olam ein aliyah ela b'shem arbayim v'shtayim. V'chein ein shum aliyah ma'olam la'olam ela yedich, you have to hold the shem mab. V'chein kedei lahamshech es a shem shal mab la'alos es a halamos. So in order to pull this down, to be able to elevate the worlds, yesh lomer because a KADDISH dafka benusach de l'halon. We have to say it specifically in this language. Now here's another little place that I want to note. In v'yishtaba v'yispoir ola lo ziba v'ofer sheyaskel as a sheva tevos, which begin with the letter vav. So in other words, this is where a spot where you can get. You had 28s before. Now we come to 42s. Because so this is to where are we again? The Indian, the Sheva tables are the Sheva Vavim. Al Shem Mav Hayotzim Mitebus Shel Ana Bakoach. It's a reference to the 7 names that come out of the name Ana Bakoach. Sheyesh Bechem Mab Tevos, and that if you count them up, there's going to be 42 letters there. Let me just make a little change here. 42 letters there. So he says Ana Bakoach. He says Ba'ofen Shachashemus Hayotzim Ma'ana Bakoach. Haim Sheva Shema should call Shem called Mishesh Osius, and then he shows us the 7. So Revakaven Shechabamab Ramazan the Shisha Shemas Yotza Machateva Shal Ana Bakoach. So he says that since the Mab is really a reference to these 6 names that come out of the Ana Bakoach, or the 7 names, he said that Ramazan Shesh Shemas Yotza Machateva Shal Ana Bakoach. He said the ficha bekol eilach b'sheva teva. So once he said 6, I thought he said 6 there. He meant 7. Shehev yishtaba v'yispor v'yisroma v'yisnaseh v'yisadar v'yisadar v'yisalal. He says yesh bekol echad bechem sheish vavim, sheish osius. There, each one of them is 6. Keneged Hashem ana bakoach, which corresponds to that. Shehem Sheva Shema Shekol Echad Kol B'Sheish Osius. The thing was just confusing me a little bit. He was talking specifically about the mob that comes out of the letter Vav, and now he's contrasting it or corresponding it to the Ana B'Koach. He doesn't want to say that it's a reference to it. It said that. So let's go on a little bit more. He said V'Haren is Boyer Eich Nirmaz B'Zech B'Shem Mab. V'Haren is Boyer Ad Ata. Nirmaz Shem Mav Shuhu Shem Ana Bakoach, which is the name of Ana Bakoach B'Shnei Chofanim. The Of and the Echad, because the one way is Shebesheva Tevos Shel V'Yishtabach Kol Teva Mitekida Maschila Be'oz Vav V'Sheva Vavim Aladocha Behem Olam B'Gematria Mab V'Of and the Sheni who should be called Teva Me'edach Sheva Tevos Yesh Bar Shisha Osius, Sheish Osius. It has 6 letters, B'Sheva Pam Mem Sheish, and that gets you another way to get you a 42, Haim Olav Mab. Became in Shetzrichen L'Rmoz Khan as Shem Mab, so that we have to really have a reference over here to the name Mab. Be'edach B'Sheva Tevos Shel V'Yishtabach. He says, Lefichoch Osem Ha'anashim Ha'oimrim Yishtava V'Yis, they just say Yishtava Yispoyer, below the Vav. Vofen shehem oimrim sheva tevos hamaskila ba'oz yud. That's really what happens. So he says that 7 times 10 is 70, and there's something that maybe you could make a drush on that. So he said b'tevos hamaskila ba'oz yud tos he biyod. He said b'she'enim eskirich b'chas sheva vavim, because they're leaving out the 7 vavim shebarosh tevos haladucha ba'olam laminyan mav. So he said, and once you start this word, Yishtabach, Ba'os Yud, you're going to wind up with the Binyan Sheva Vavim, instead of the place, B'makom, Sheva Vavim in the place of that. So he said, Bechin Shem Av, he said, Bechayudim Aramazim al Shem Av. It's really a remiss to something else. He Avai B'milu Yudin, he Av. So he said, Below al Shem Mab. So it gets you in the wrong place. So he said, B'charech Ha'aliyah Sheyesh B'Kaddish, Heim Rak B'Shem Mab. Below B'Shem Av, V'lefichoch, Heim Toyim B'Zesh, Heim Maschilim as Shevet Tevas B'Yudin B'Ramazim La'av. V'hu B'Vovim Anirmazim L'Shem Mab. But that's really what you need. V'chein HaKoach Osias Sheyesh B'Tevas. And now there's 28 letters in these words. V'Yehei Shmei Rabbah, in that name, Yehei Shmei Rabbah, which we've seen already. He talked about that a little bit. Heim Koach Osias are Ramazim L'Shem Shem Mabs, and they're also a part of this mob part. Al Yedecha B'Tzira Shtei Osias D, and how do you do that? And this is what he wants to say about this word D. He says that you see that within it there's 28 letters over there, but if you add this concept of D, which is a gematria of 14, which is also the word yad, but that's not going on that. He says Al Yedecha B'Tzira Shtei Osias D. So there you say within it, there's a clue as to how to pull that together. Again, this is a kavanah. So if we're able to have the kavanah, the 28 words, the 28 letters rather, we can also add this D onto it and make that into a whole 42. So you can talk about it more. So he says, Sha'afer shachakach ba da'olam aziyah, hanikra chechel hashvi, olam l'malam l'olam yitzira, sha'aliyas ha'chechel hashvicha da'olam ha'chasiyah l'yitzira, he al yedera the koich tevos sheyesh ba yehe shmei rabba, etc., all the way down that line, adam iran ba'oma. So there's 28 words in that count. He said that, let's look a little bit more. He says, Hine Yachol, so he says it's possible. Let me get this. As he says, Yachol hu his chafek v'lachsa v'lechiyosach or hu atzma b'chidas yitzira. So how does that happen? He said la'achar shachahechol la'elyon dechasiya shukuh hakach b'dasiya, which is right the upper 4 spheres over there. Ola al olam yitzira goes up to there. As who yachol his chafek, and it can turn itself around. B'lachsa v'lechiyos ba'atzma b'chidas olam yitzira, and itself becomes that. V'chukadei shachakach bad shal olam ha'asiyah sh'olam al olam yitzira yahafek ata lechiyos b'chidas olam yitzira, that it could turn around and become olam yitzira. Alechei b'emiras hodu, so when you get down to hodu akri al-KADDISH, kodu b'emiras baruch she'amar, mischafek ha'kachbad, that's the place where the kachbad switches the olam ha'asiyah leha'azos mamish olam yitzira. Nice little piece of information. So that's what's happening in Hodu. Hodu is actually the transformation. It's the place of the interface. So arbas hamiluyim shel havayos, which are asmab, heim ramazim al arba olamos anikroyim abia, as we've seen other places. Rav moedech besidrin belamala lamanta. So he counts them. Now what is he saying? So he said, "Ahainu ma'olam maratzila shalamala ad olam asiyah lamanta." Who havaya b'milu yudin. So that havaya there that you're going to be dealing with is going to be havaya v'ilu yudim v'hu ba'olam atzilus. Then he goes on. Then the next one is going to be sag who havaya b'milu yudim v'olofim v'hu ba'olam abriya. And then the ma who is going to be the havaya b'milu olofim b'shem zecha v'hu ba'olam yitzira. And then Ben over here comes over here who havaya b'milu heyin v'hu ba'olam asiyah. So we know that. Let's go on. Which are the asam, each one of them has a possibility, I think, of making a 42. And he shows it to you. And then he says, Aleph looks like, the first one looks like this. The second one is the Milui Sag, and looks like that. The third one is the Milui Ma, looks like that. And that's it, that's them. But the chen kevin shloshas milui asam, yesh b'kol achad bechem eser osia, so each one of them has 10 letters in it. Yesh b'kol achas shalosh nizkarim b'milurim b'miluyim esrim b'shmona osrios. And he's going to show that to us, but I'm going to skip it. Go down a little bit further down. So he said, now you have the milui and the milui. So he says, Ba'ofen shebakol milui the milui, that each one of them yesh koach ozios. That's another place. Look at the 28 over there. But that one, shehi havaya the ben kazeh, and he shows it to us. He says, what does he say? The ben kazeh, azay b'milueho yesh rak tesha ozios. There's not 10. It's a different count. Below Eser Shahare Gam Os Havav Shaba Bimbalua He Bas Shtei Osius Bilvad is really the Vav is also Vav. So that's what Kitcha over there. I guess we'll stop right here. That's it. That's it for today. This is Baruch Fleischman. This is Tikkun Elevator Kolo into Kaddish.